how's everybody doing it? You know, I mean, how many inverters are out there? How many systems are out there? What do they do? I have looked at a bunch of these, and I cannot get a definitive answer on that. And I've had some that do exactly what I did. So this is one thing where I'm going to say, don't do what I do. Do your research. Okay. Anyway.
And let us know.
Yeah. Let us know. Hey everybody, Bill and Dad.
Hi there.
It's a little cool today, isn't it?
It was 35 when we woke up this morning.
Yeah. This is Monday, and even though it is cool here, it's 35 this morning here in Florida, we know that a lot of people
are a whole lot colder.
A lot of our friends that are in Mississippi and Louisiana and Alabama are really cold. Some of them are getting some what is that?
Yeah, that word.
Precipitation. Yeah.
Arkansas, they told me the sun was shining, but it was brutally cold, like 14.
Yeah. So anyway, even though we're not liking this so much, we'll sure take it over what's
back
going
home.
on. Yeah, back up there. Anyway, we thought we'd do a quickie on what we're doing on the van again. We've got all 4 panels up here now, which is a total of, in perfect conditions, 800 watts going on up there. And we got everything all wired up properly down below, which I'm fixing to show you here in just a little bit. And we are actually running the trailer right now, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah. And we've got the heat pump going, making heat inside. I'd say it's about 45 degrees right now, roughly,
probably,
off the top of my head. So we got the heat pump going inside. We don't have the water heater running, of course, because we don't need hot water at the moment. But, you know, that's...
that and the fridge is pretty much all that's
heat pump and the fridge.
At the moment.
Yeah, so let's show you the system here. And you can see the heat pump's running, and you can see I've got the cable running right down here, and we are plugged in. This is the shore power plug. Let's get it out of the way. So you can see we've got it plugged in to the trailer, and the trailer is running right now. What I did in order to get the cable through, we went with one of these little pass-throughs here. I was going to mount a regular 30 amp plug right here, but I couldn't find the one that I really wanted, and so I went with a pass-through instead and left this the way it was. Now I did do a little bit of rewiring here the last couple of days. I wasn't happy with the original setup that I had right in here, so I went with a different kind of wire, and I indexed this wire here so that when I'm using the twist lock here, that it doesn't put the wire in a bind, where I didn't think about that when I was originally wiring it up. So this is what we got going on here. I'll kind of briefly go over things with you. 3 batteries, 3 200 amp hour batteries, and they're all wired in parallel. This is a 12 volt system. And let me address this before we move on. I had some people ask me, why didn't I go with a 24 volt system? Why didn't I go with a 36 volt system? And to make this work right, I would have had to have went with a 36 volt. And to be honest with you, I didn't do enough research. I didn't realize that this same brand of inverter here is available in a 36 volt version for about the same price. And I didn't know that some of Victron's charge controllers can be set to run a 36 volt system. Not these. These can only go 12 or 24. But their 20 amp charge controller, which is what I'd have to go with if I went with the 36 volt system, is set up supposedly through my research that you can set it to run a 36 volt system. So who knows, maybe down the line I'll change over. It wouldn't take very much to change over. I just simply have to rewire the batteries in series and then go from these charge controllers to 20 amp charge controllers, and of course, you know, swap this out. But for a 36 volt version of it. This is the same brand of inverter that we have in the trailer. It's a 3000 watt inverter. The one in the trailer is set up for 24 volt because it's 24 volt system in there. And of course this is a 12. And we haven't had a minute's trouble with the 24 volt version of this in the trailer, so that's why I didn't even look at anything else but this particular brand again. And this is from the Reliable brand is what it's called, available on Amazon. It's around in the mid 300 price range, you know, 350, something like that, thereabouts. So anyway, what I've got going on, I got two charge controllers, and I've got them numbered here. Number one, which is the front two set of panels. I've got each set of two panels with their own charge controller. So this is for the two front ones. This one's for the two back ones. I have, as they're coming in, this cable you see right here that's coming down. This cable is coming from the front set of panels, and then this cable right here coming down and going into this breaker right here is from the back set of panels. This is for the front set of panels. Now, something else that I've done on this system here is you'll notice there is an inline fuse right here, and you'll also notice if you look right here, there is a couple of little bus bars here, a positive and a negative bus bar, and I've got the positive wire coming into the positive one, of course, and negative wire coming into the negative one, which is down below it, and then I'm branching off of those two bus bars. It goes to each of my positive and negative on this particular breaker, but it also branches off, and it's kind of hard to see, but there's a line taking off going that way that goes to an SAE outlet right there, to that SAE outlet right there. I've got a 30 amp cable made up that has SAE ends on both ends, and this particular inlet on the trailer right here, I have it unhooked on the inside now, but at one time I experimented with running a separate charge controller just for ground-based panels, and that went into a 20 amp charge controller inside the trailer. Well, I'm going to reinstall that 20 amp charge controller back in the trailer and have it where in certain situations I can let the two front panels charge the trailer, and the two back panels keep this system topped off. So, you know, don't know that I'll use it all that often, but it's there. And all I got to do in order to do that is come right over here and kill that breaker right there. And if I kill that breaker, all of a sudden it cuts off the power going to charge controller number one, which is the front two panels, you know, the front set of panels. And then the power, you know, it goes there all the time, but then I can tap into it over here and go into my SAE outlet and run that to the trailer. Now, that's why I have this additional inline fuse right here, is for that purpose. So, but right now, I'm not needing that. So let's flip that back on right there. And, but anyway, yes, I have to remember, I've been around the block a few times, I have to remember to turn this breaker off when I want to tap into the front panels to go to the trailer charge controller. I know that. And remember, that charge controller in the trailer that I'm talking about will be a totally separate charge controller, not connected to the other charge controller that runs off of the panels that are on top of the trailer. Okay, hope I got that clear as mud. Now, the whole system shuts off right here. This is a 250 amp breaker, and it's switched. And if I wanted to kill all the power to all of this, all I have to do is push that button right there, and all this power is killed all the way. Everything is killed right there. So I do have a way to shut this system down, and it shuts everything down when I do that. So that is there for that reason. All right. So I don't know if there's anything else I need to explain about that, but I am a stickler for neatness, and I tried to get all my wiring as neat and uniform as possible. Had to fit an awful lot of stuff in a small space. I will also mention, A lot of people said, you know, get the charge controllers up off of the wood a little bit for ventilation. What you do not see is directly below the cooling fins that are on the bottom of these charge controllers. I marked off an area, what they cover in square inches, and drilled several holes side by side, big holes side by side for ventilation. And keep in mind that this thing is set on an angle, so there's all kinds of airflow behind it. I am also looking into maybe installing cooling fans, which I have plenty of room to do back behind there, back behind this console before it gets to the batteries. But I'm looking into that, you know, to add more ventilation. But these charge controllers are not warm at all. In fact, they're kind of cold to the touch right now. So that's what we got going on there. So we got 3 200 amp hour batteries, and these batteries do have self-heating. They have let's see, cold temperature cutoff, but they have all kinds of fail-safe measures on them, and they're Bluetooth. I can monitor the performance of each battery. In addition to the fact that these are smart charge controllers, I can monitor what all of these things are doing at any given time. So that's how it's all going. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to get my phone, bring it back here, and we're going to connect to a few things and see what's going on. Be right back. What is the date today, dear?
This is January 20th.
January 20th. Wow. Already.
Yes,
Can't believe it.
Already.
And how are you enjoying that sun right there?
The sun feels wonderful. I can't believe Delilah wanted to come back in the house.
Yeah, well,
It's nap time.
She's in a different area that she's not quite used to yet, I suppose.
I suppose.
Yeah. All right. Let's go in here and look. I've got my Victron Smart Stuff pulled up. And, yeah, I might need you to hold the camera for me, babe. Let me see. Maybe I can do it this way. Yeah, I can do it this way. All right. Let's look at the Van Smart Shunt right now and see what it says. Shows the battery bank at 99%. How long have we been running right now?
20 minutes.
20 minutes or so? Okay. Yeah, we just plugged it in a little bit ago. All right. So, showing on the shunt that we're pulling 21.27 amps. You know, well, it bounces back and forth from, you know, 21 to 22, but, you know, right in that ballpark, right in there. A negative 274, 275 watts. Now let's go in, let me back out of that, and let's look at solar charger number 1, which is the front set of panels. And I've seen this go back and forth, but the front set of panels right now are pulling 53 watts. They're pumping in a positive 13.15, voltage into the battery bank, but they're pumping in 3.9 to 4 amps into the battery bank right now. So let's go over to number 2. And number 2 is coming up here. And now number 2, this back set of panels is pulling in quite a bit more. It's pulling in 237 watts right now, pumping in 17.6, 17.7 amps into the battery bank. So if you take that and add the other 4, let's say we're pumping in 21 amps, and we're showing a negative draw of about 21 amps. So right now what that means, if you do the math, that we are actually pulling about 40 some odd amps, you know, because we're pumping in a positive 22, but we're pulling a negative 22 or so. So you've got to figure the fact that, you know, the system in the trailer is using up the amps we're pumping in plus what's already in the battery bank. So we're pulling a total of 44 amps or so right now to run the heat pump and the fridge, basically, is what we're doing, right?
Pretty much it.
I can't think of anything else that
The
we've got
internet,
going.
big whoop, you know.
Oh yeah, the internet, but it don't pull hardly nothing. Do we have the TV on right now?
No.
Okay, don't have the TV on. So, but let's go back to the shunt. and pull it up again. Let's see what it says, how long we'd have to last. Right now they're claiming that we could run this way for 23 hours and 37 minutes. Now, of course, that shunt is basing that on the negative amp draw of 20 amps, and technically we're pulling 40 amps. So when the sun goes down, that will go down as well, because then we wouldn't have anything coming into the battery bank from the panels. Now, I know you're wondering why such a difference in the panels from the front to the back. You know, the front set is a little lower in the back. Well, depending on where the sun is in the sky, that's what determines, you know, the angle of the approach of the sun to the panels will determine that. And I've actually seen it go exactly the opposite. Now, I'm not going to point the camera right at the sun, but the sun is at about right there at that angle right there, and it's tracking that way, like that. So, you know, as the day goes on, what time is it right now, babe?
It's a little after 1.
A little after 1. So, you know, as the day goes on, I could see, you know, if we still had sun, we're going to see it go the other way. Now, if the sun was directly overhead, you know, perpendicular to the panels, we'd probably see both sets producing roughly about the same. All in all, we're very happy with the whole system. It's working great. Everything is working fantastic. I've got a couple of little things that I'm still going to do, and I'm still researching. And I may be opening Pandora's box here, but I'm technically speaking right now, because we're not connected to shore power. We don't have an earth ground going on at all. We've got the system in the trailer grounded to the chassis, and we've got the system here grounded to the chassis of the van. And nothing is going off. Now, the other day I had an issue where, and which is another reason why I redid the wiring here. When I was skinning the wire to hook this up the other day, I didn't realize it, but I had put a slit in one of the wires, and when I flipped everything on, all of a sudden the inverter, it's got its own failsafe in it. It did not like it at all, started squealing at me, had an alarm go off, and I noticed that the AC voltage was fluctuating dramatically up and down, boom, boom, boom. And I went to the manual, and one of the causes could be a dead short or a grounding out, you know. Well, I opened this box back up, and the negative wire had a slit in it, and it was touching another wire, and you know, and that was after I crammed everything back in there. So anyway, I ended up redoing all that, and it went away then. But I went with all new wire, and I inspected it more than once, several times. Plus, I also made sure that I wasn't trying to fold so much wire back down into that box there, and that made a difference. And it's been flawless ever since. We've been testing it before we made this video. So, anybody got any ideas on that? I've looked up so many different YouTube videos, researched so much, and every single site I go to, every YouTube video I go look at, there's a different answer. You know, nothing is consistent when it comes to grounding this system properly. What I'm leaning towards doing, I did buy a stud, 3/8 stud that goes through the body of the van, but it isolates itself from the van body. It's got connections where it isolates itself from the van body. And I thought about connecting the ground wire to that, and then buying you can get portable ground rods, but they're only like 24 inches long, copper ground rods, you know, that I could literally drive into the ground. But then the more research I do, I find that depending on where you are in the country, some ground, the ground itself, earth, will react better than other areas. Like here in this part of Florida, before they could, the standard is roughly 8 foot typically in depth, and I've heard that here in Florida, because of the the way the earth is mostly sand and everything, that in some cases they've had to go twice as deep, to get a proper earth ground. So I don't know that that'll do me any good, So anyway, those are things that I'm wondering about, and I know good and well I'm probably going to get, if someone wants to weigh in on this, I'm going to get a lot of different responses. I already know that. But, there's got to be a definitive answer. How do they do it on RVs? Well, on RVs, from everybody I've talked to on a traditional RV from the factory, they run a ground to the chassis of the trailer, whether it be AC from the AC box and DC from the DC stuff. They run a ground to the chassis of the trailer. And then, of course, when you're plugged into shore power, technically speaking, then your panel inside the trailer becomes a sub panel, and then you rely on the ground that is with the shore power. So there you go. That is a question that I'm having a hard time getting a definitive answer on. So maybe someone out there can help me. What do you think? You think I've invited a bunch of...
Well, we need the answer so you will have peace in your mind. So I know you've asked everybody and their brother.
I've asked, and everybody's given me a different answer. And that's the thing.
Our nephew, who is a certified electrician, he does commercial buildings. He said,
he didn't have a definitive answer.
I'm going to have to research that one.
Well, because
that's not something he's used to doing.
Solar and inverters and things like that is a
whole different game.
What do they do in a boat?
Plus, if you drive
when they use an inverter in a boat, what do they do?
Okay, in Arkansas, if we went with the temporary ground rod in the ground, you're not going to get it in 24 inches. You might get it in 6.
Well, you probably have to use a different kind of ground rod that was threaded so you could drive it in with an impact driver, which is one thing I thought about.
And we move at least every 2 weeks normally, and so what do you do?
Yeah. Well, and then I've even thought about, if I got it grounded to the chassis, get a length of chain that I could lay right over either side of the hitch and let it touch the ground. Because a lot of people say, if things happen to go haywire inside the wiring, but I'm very aware of that and I check it constantly, believe me, I do. And if something happened where something got crisscrossed and the ground became a hot wire, that I'm standing on the ground, and if I touch the body of the van, that could be it. I don't know, but how is everybody doing it? How many inverters are out there? How many systems are out there? What do they do? I have looked at a bunch of these, and I cannot get a definitive answer on that. And I've had some that do exactly what I did. So this is one thing where I'm going to say, don't do what I do. Do your research. Okay? Anyway.
And let us know.
Yeah. Let us know. So far, no issues. The trailer is grounded the same way. Haven't had any issues with it.
For 3 years,
and
we
we've
haven't
used
had a single
it
issue.
Often. We use it often, especially this last summer.
Yeah.
So, and never had a problem.
That's right.
Yeah. So anyway, on that note, and please be kind. Don't come in here and tell me how stupid I am. That'll get you blocked. If you come in and be respectful and be kind, that's one thing. But don't go in there and start telling me you're stupid and you're the smartest person in the world. Okay? Yeah. Anyway, I guess we're going to go now, aren't we?
Yes.
All right. Let's get the proper answer so we won't mislead anybody. That's the whole idea. Anyway, this is Bill and Deb with I Ride Tiny House Adventures. And you know exactly what we're going to say. We're not camping.
We are living.
Y'all get out there and do some living, and we'll see you again, and go find a warm place to go.
If there is one.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.